Hey everybody, welcome to Ron's Computer Videos. Hey, great to see everybody. I moved this stream around once or twice because I wasn't 100% sure when I really wanted to broadcast it. But I figure it's probably best to strike while the iron's hot, so here we are. I just want to go ahead and say hello to some folks that are in the chat. Vintage Hillbilly Shack is here. Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Alex Park is here. Spirit Walker Adventures. Thomas Armstrong, the Obsolete Techie. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, which, believe it or not, museum is not his last name. Weird. Eric from Eric Miller from Eric's Edge. Glad you finally have your channel named, sir. Mac84 is here. Eep! Or quack. Or whatever you would like to go for there. Eric Helgeson is here as well. Rudy from Rudy's Retro Intel. I just sat in a meeting with Rudy and Joe, but here we are again, and I think we will have some fun. Secret Chicken is here as well. It is nice to see everybody, and what we're going to be dealing with this evening is a really cool project that I backed last year that finally shipped, and it was just like an amazing thing. I was so pleased to have been a backer of this project, and I'm glad that it finally kind of came out, because the person that put this together has got like a million things going on at all times. I don't know how they got this out the door even, but it was a very ambitious project, and so we'll kind of take a look at it here in just a couple minutes. But let's go ahead and let's get some housekeeping out of the way. I want to thank everybody that supports me over on patreon.com. Did you know that for as little as $1 a month, you can help keep the shenanigans over here at Ron's Computer Videos rolling down the road? Let's just be honest, though. Most of this money that I take in, I just turn around, I put it back in the hands of other enthusiasts. So do your part, support me, and I'll support other people. And that's probably like a good kind of system as any. So again, just kind of greeting some of my very latest people. Joe from Joe's Computer Museum, very nice, thanks. Jay over at House of Moth, Britt Dodd, Chris Torrence from the Assembly Lines podcast, Dave Slaughter, xodium, Eric Miller, of course, Justin D. Morgan, Mike's Mac Shack. Guys, Mike is only 11 subscribers away from 1,000. Let's get him there before the end of this stream. If you are not subscribed to Mike's Mac Shack, please go and subscribe there immediately. Also, while I'm pitching stuff for people, up and coming folks, Eric's Edge, if you search for that on YouTube, Eric's getting his channel off the ground too. He's only got like a couple dozen subscribers. Let's get him to 100 so he can go ahead and get his custom channel name. Every little bit that you guys can do is greatly appreciated. My good friend Philip Mantrosoto, Retro Viator, Ian Scott, Eric, I'm not even going to pronounce it, and Group Ride. So Group Ride, take it easy. I don't know if we're going to get any copyright strikes for that, but I certainly hope not. Anyway, just looking back through chat, see if anybody else hopped in. Spirit Walker Adventure, I hope I greeted you. If I didn't, I greatly apologize. Thomas Armstrong as well, if I didn't greet you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's go ahead. Let's get my windows kind of all set up here. You can always tell when I bring a window up that it brightens everything up. So actually, I want to talk about going to Steve's and going to Joe's house while I was out east, and I'll probably do that, but I'll probably do that more towards the end, just so that way that we can kind of keep the reason why a lot of people tuned in kind of up the top, and then I'll tell some stories at the tail end of all this. So anyway, let's hop over to the web, and I am sure that everybody here is familiar with RMC. It used to be called Retro Man Cave, and the wonderful gentleman who puts the channel on kind of realized that that might be a little alienating to some viewers. I know that that term has kind of changed and maybe nowadays has maybe a negative connotation. So changed the name of the channel to RMC, The Cave. And Neil has done some amazing things to start up a retro computing museum in the UK, where fans of the channel and people that are just interested in 8-bit micros and older machines can kind of all get together and check things out. So if you are not subscribed to RMC, I'm sure that he would appreciate your viewership. He announced that he was doing a couple of different projects last year. He did one for sort of Neil is a great dude. Just every interaction I've ever had with him, just top notch, like just a good egg. Sidetrack. He did a Mr. clone, where it was basically like you could take the DE10 Mr. for sort of emulation, and you could just kind of slap it into this. Slap is maybe a bad word. You could kind of put it in this like a backboard or like kind of a motherboard kind of thing, and it added all the doodads that normally people spend big bucks to add. So kind of a neat project. He also did a calendar, retro, kind of a 8-bit micros calendar, and then he did this project. And this project was the retro computer coloring book. And I was really kind of like, wow, this seems like a lot of fun. And I don't know how the Apple II page ended up as the one that they did all the advertising on. But when they were kind of putting this all together, I backed the project and I reached out to Neil and I said, Neil, I really want to sponsor what you're doing to help kind of make this happen. And he very graciously worked with me to sponsor some stuff. So nice guy and very pleased, great Yelp review, would buy again, I guess. But anyway, the project kind of went through. There was a bunch of different levels of stuff that you could kind of contribute at. They had a digital version of the book that kind of came out first, and then I don't know why you want to read these backer updates, but basically the campaign page is probably where to go. Basically, it was just sort of a walkthrough of kind of the history of like a lot of cool older machines. And again, I don't know, the Apple II stuff keeps popping up to the top. Weird. But yeah, there's like a lot of great micros out here that some of them just to kind of skate around copyright and things like that. Like obviously, we kind of have an idea of what this machine is, but they're not going to really use the real sort of copyright stuff. But the book itself is very well put together. We'll take a look at it here in just a second. This is where the cave, the top floor of it is now the little museum. So pretty neat. All right. If you are interested, the book itself is now available just for like a standalone purchase. Of course, you can get the digital copy, but you can also get a real physical book you can hold in your hand. And basically, you can hop out to rmcretro.store and pick your own copy up. So I'm going to do my best to switch around to where the book is at and do a little bit of presentation. While I'm turned around, I probably won't be able to see chat. So I'm going to kind of I should have brought my iPad down here, and then I could have maybe monitored chat. But I'm going to do my best to see what I can see and try to follow along with you guys. And maybe if I get something wrong, you guys will be kind to me and not, think that I know absolutely everything, because I know very little. I'm going to see if I can do this on my phone real fast so I can see the chat, because that would be maybe handy and maybe interesting to people at home, where I'm not just talking into a void here. Let's see if I can get this going. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. silly Steve with his Apple III Forever. All right, let's switch over to Droid Cam. Let's see if we can get it to autofocus. Everybody still hear me okay? I sure hope so. All right, so I'm going to spin around here. And I worked earlier to try to get this all sort of organized a little bit to where you could maybe kind of see things. And yeah, I'm kind of looking back and forth just to kind of check. Probably ought to bring the microphone over here with me. That'd be good too. Kind of tough to hear me if you don't have the mic near me. Okay, so I've got some little cheat marks here. Oh, you can't see that one, but you can sure see this one. Got a little cheat marks, so I can try to keep everything in frame while we go through this. But the book itself, for people that are not, that don't follow what's going on in the, whatever you call those, the Commonwealth nations, there's a lot of extra letters, and my understanding, as it's always been told to me, is that in the U.S., like when people started printing things in the newspaper and things, they charged by the letter, so it's just really easy to kind of drop some of these extra U's, like in color and flavor and things like that, and save a few pennies here and there. So the book itself is a glossy cover. It's very nice. It's the Coloring Book of Retro Computers, Volume 1. So I really hope that they do kind of continue on with this, because it is kind of a neat idea. So over 30 pages of tech nostalgia, fun for all ages, illustrated by Stu Cambridge, and the book that built a retro computing exhibition. The back of the book has a picture of the museum. And it says, this book funded the creation of The Cave, a hands-on retro computing and gaming exhibition in Stroud, Gloucestershire. There's a rule on how you pronounce that stuff. I should have totally read this before I started doing this. But Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire. I just watched like a Mapman episode about this on pronouncing all these things because of the combination. Anyway, it's really interesting because it depends on who was trying to conquer the UK at the time, all these town names and stuff. But at least it's not Froome, because I can pronounce Froome. Okay, so in the UK, we've recovered. The cave was designed and built by Neil Thomas, Mark Heslop, Dean Glover, and you, the cave dwellers, who supported the project. Each illustration was generously sponsored by a retro gaming fan whose message appears at the bottom of each page. Neat. For more information about the cave, book a trip at rmcretro.com. So, if you find yourself in the UK, here I'm pushed down on it so that maybe there's a little bit of less of a reflection there. Gloucestershire. That's what Joe says. But yeah, it's a really neat thing, and it's like a hands-on museum. So I would recommend that anybody that's in the area definitely go and check that out. I'm going to try to go ahead and get this kind of framed properly, maybe? Yeah, that should be framed properly. In with the package, there was a little thank you sort of piece of paper. That's kind of neat. I like his little 16-bit avatar kind of dude. All right, so let me make sure. We're framed up pretty good. Let's see what's going on ye old, crud. I knew I never should have. I should have brought my iPad down here. I don't know what I'm thinking. All right, so here we go. All right, I got my back turned, so I'm probably not going to see chat too much, but The Coloring Book of Retro Computers, Volume 1, illustrated by Stu Cambridge. And there's a lot, you'll notice in the book a lot that there are it's like RMC branded batteries and stuff like that. Just little cutesy things to kind of keep people interested. First published in 2022 by the Retro Group Limited. Copyright the Retro Group Limited 2022. Illustrations by Stu Cambridge. Typesetting by Simon Busby. All reasonable efforts have been made to contact and acknowledge copyright holders. Any errors or omissions are inadvertent, and any Copyright holder is invited to make contact so we can acknowledge, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so, and then I also had the stuff where you could kind of check that out. But some people just put like a URL in here. Maybe we can go through and try to like identify some of these machines. But it's funny, this one says chunky video game system, which very much does kind of describe the graphics on the Atari 2600. Everybody's favorite game, of course, Cattle Zone. Haha. This is a oh gosh, what the heck is that called? Kind of those early Commodore machines. So I'm sure people in the chat are screaming at me what it is. So yeah, man, it's late. It's but yeah, it's really kind of neat. Like a lot of the chips in here are kind of named or labeled RMC and stuff like that. But this page is sponsored by Matthew Miller, an avid collector of retro computers. Gosh, what the heck is that called? Anyway, somebody will say in chat. The opposite page looks like a it's just some manner of arcade machine. This page is sponsored by Philip and his nostalgia. The JAMA connection up here at the top, it says Jam Sandwich, so that's kind of cute. There's a lot of little things that are kind of written in here to try to you know, just have a little bit of fun. According to the sticker there, this machine is labeled for free play. This next page right here, what the heck is this an acorn? Is this an acorn machine? Because it won't actually say. It won't actually say. But just looking at the top of the keyboard and that space on there, I think this is an acorn, isn't this? Somebody will tell me. Maybe. Who knows? Oh yeah, the first one's a pet. That's right. I don't know what I was thinking. But this one here says for Ava. Let me make sure that we are still. Are we? Yeah, it could probably come up a tiny bit. Yeah, that's probably good. On the opposite page, this is very much. It says Moon Wars, but I think Space Wars. We all kind of know like what this is. So sort of an early home games machine, but like, you know, for just plays one game. This page is sponsored by Steve Sims. Okay. Here we go. This is like a 5150, or like, you know, kind of the early, it's 8-bit slots. So yeah, it's got to be like a 5150, like the original IBM PC. This page is dedicated to women in software engineering by Christina Bryan. This is cool. This is a very cool drawing, because if you do look at those, I'm thinking about these chip counts and stuff, and they do look pretty accurate. So I don't remember, this is a Model F keyboard. Someone in chat will probably definitely know, but sort of like before the Model M on like the 5150. So this is like the original kind of buckle spring or whatever keyboard, buckling spring. On the opposite page, this is kind of what we got here in the U.S. This is just the Sinclair 1000, right? With the not even a chiclet, it's just a membrane keyboard. Really terrible to program on. Little thermal printer up here at the top, and of course the infamous 16K RAM expansion, where if you bumped the machine, basically it would just reset the machine. Not a lot of fun, especially if you had written a program and didn't have like a tape drive or something hooked up. You didn't have it backed up. Real sad. That happened to me more than once over the years. This page is sponsored by Stefan Haglund. So here we go. This is very obviously Commodore 64. Huge machine in Europe. Way more. I mean, if it as popular as C64 was in the US, way more in Europe. Like all the very best demos, all the very best games and things like that. Absolutely, you know, came out for the PAL version of this machine. And I know that Christian did a mod recently where basically you can on the fly switch between, because there's a like, I don't, is it the SID or something? There's a PAL SID and an NTSC SID something. Basically, there's like a chip inside that, or maybe it has something to do with the video as well. But where you can play those PAL games, kind of, you can just have one C64 and it'll have all the appropriate chips, and you basically switch between them on the fly. He did a video about that maybe about maybe a year or two ago, something like that. But this is such a great machine, and I've got a lot of great memories with the Commodore 64 because I didn't own one myself back in the day. I had a Plus 4, but my neighbors had a C64, and they had so many great games. Really fun games machine. And I had another friend who did a lot of, had like Gem or Geos or whatever it was, kind of that GUI for it. Did a lot of great drawings and stuff, but this page is sponsored by the Mitchell family. On the opposite page here, this is ZX80 or ZX81, maybe, something like that. It's kind of the European version of the Sinclair 1000, something like that. I'm not super familiar with kind of the European history on these machines. I know Sir Clive passed away last year. It's just made such an impact on getting computers into the hands of just regular people. So not every project was a success, but definitely the Spectrum, the Z81, Z80s, all that. Pretty great machine, or pretty great machines. But this page is sponsored by Trevor Fowler from New Zealand. So hey, thanks, Trevor. It's really great. Oh, Trash to Treasure, which is a segment on RMC, and then The Cave. That's, where he does all this stuff. So, or where he holds court, I guess. Everybody's gonna know what this is. This is the Nintendo DS, which was such a game changer kind of back in the day. I mean, like the dual screen touch screens, just really kind of a neat idea. And it is funny. You're gonna eat through those batteries for sure with this backlit color screen and stuff. Really, definitely, ate through those batteries. But it was really neat. It was a nice upgrade from the DS, or I'm sorry, from the Game Boy Advance. And these early models can still play Game Boy Advance games. They can still play original Game Boy games, all of that. They only much later dropped support on some of those other things, but like the 2DS, 3DS kind of jettisoned all that. But I think this is just a really great machine, and there are versions of the DS. I think the DSi or something. I know people invest a lot of money in doing upgrades on their Game Boy Advance SPs if you don't have a 101 model or something like that, or whatever, the better screen. I think the 101's the better one. People do so many mods to kind of get those up to date, or do mods on the original Game Boy Advance. You pick up a DSi. I think it's the DSi still does Game Boy Advance, because the screen on it is just amazing, and it's all like you can pick one up pretty inexpensively at like a flea market or something. But anyway, this over here, I'm not sure. Isn't this the TRS-80? Because it's got the screen and it's got all the stuff. But I could have, maybe it's not the TRS-80, but it's definitely, I think it's some manner of Tandy, that's for sure. Oh, okay. It says it's the TRS-80 D24 terminal, and I do remember that they had some of these that. Oh wait, they're saying it's Game & Watch. Oh yeah, I guess it is. I don't see a cartridge port. Yeah, but yeah, Game & Watch was kind of the yeah, I guess it makes sense because this is where the instructions would be for whatever the game was. Sorry guys. And then you could switch it into watch mode and game mode and stuff over here. But yeah, this was the inspiration for the DS at all. Sorry, I should have noticed like no cartridge slot. That's so funny. But yeah, I remember one time I went to a LAN party and a friend of mine, JP McClung, came in, and he had one of these, and he was like, yeah, I bought this at like a thrift store. The guy said it's the first computer. and we all just kind of had a laugh and stuff. But it worked, and you could turn it on and had a couple little discs with it. So he had the version with floppy drives and all that. But anyway, um, just to make sure we get the dedications in. This page is sponsored in memory of my father, Leland R. Griffith, rather. And this page is sponsored by Stephen Freilish. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody knows what this is. My cousin Dean had one of these, kind of like 1979, 1980, something like that. So it would have been a little bit past its prime. But the Vectrix vector graphics machine, pretty neat. The graphics were really cool. I mean, there was nothing else like it at the time. I mean, you had Atari and things like that, but it just didn't look as cool as the Vectrix. And granted, it's just kind of a black and white machine, but kind of the gimmick of it is that there were screen overlays where you could, I'm sure everybody knows all this, but there were screen overlays that would kind of, add a little bit of color to the game or whatever. But just really beautiful. And there are now multi-carts where you can basically, because a lot of these Vectrix games are very expensive now, but you can actually get multi-carts that have all of the games plus a couple of unreleased ones. There are some cool 3D games too that there was an add-on, a 3D color wheel add-on for this that would kind of simulate 3D and simulate color. I think there's like it's like a roller coaster game of all things, just weird stuff. So it's Aaron from Aaron of I'm gonna say Minneapolis maybe came out right before the video game crash. Yeah, that's true. It's just a beautiful machine. And then over here, everybody's favorite, the Apple IIe. This actually, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's probably a 2. I don't know. It's 2E maybe, but it looks like the European version because man, or the Euro 2E or Euro 2 maybe, because the RAM slot is kind of in the wrong space. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but there's something weird about the Euro 3s that like the spacing of the RAM slot or something, like it interferes with slot 3. I can't remember, but something like that. And the it's European model, because it's got the ANSI style key, inner key, rather than the kind of the American style, which is more like a rectangle. So I actually have some PowerBook stuff that has this other type of keyboard. But anyway, big reveal. This page is sponsored by Ron's Computer Videos. Apple II forever. Haha. So I was really excited to be able to sponsor the Apple II page. And Neil, not by any of my doing, featured it in quite a bit of things to promote the rest of the thing. Just, I guess, because it's just such a well-known machine. Definitely here in the States for sure. I'm not 100% sure why you need all these 80 column cards, but you know, and you can never have enough RAM expansion, I guess, on your Apple II. So let's see. Some of this we get, and there's more and more sort of. Did I? No. Okay. Sorry, I forgot about this. This page is sponsored by Aaron Slater in Anaheim, California. He couldn't think of a witty line to put here, but I think that's a witty enough line for you there, Aaron. Thanks. Okay. There are more consoles. The Zapper. This is like the U.S. I suppose it'd be the European Famicom. Or I guess NES. Oh, actually, there was a funny thing the other day. Lady Decades posted about on the Twitters, where I guess in European countries they say NES, and in the U.S. a lot of people say like NES, or maybe that's reversed. But in any case, people gave her a lot of grief about it for some reason. It's like, doesn't really matter. I mean, you know what it is. I did have a friend though that was convinced that like if you say NES or NES, like they're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was like, horror fans are just gonna have to give this up because it's not gonna work. They sold more Nintendos than they did tickets for Freddy Krueger movies. So This page is sponsored by the Mopus family: Matthew, Bethany, Harrison, and Melody. Hey, thanks, guys. So over here, what the heck is this thing called again? This is, according to this thing, it says 64K color personal computer. What the heck is this guy? I used to remember. I've seen people do a lot of videos about these, and but I sure as smoke cannot remember what the heck. It's Amstrad. Is this an Amstrad? Yeah, it seems like an Amstrad, right? Yeah, Amstrad. I think about those Amstrads that have like the integrated monitor and all that type of stuff. People love those things too. But this was kind of neat. Integrated tape drive and things like that, so you could back your apps up, things like that. Great little games machine, is my understanding. This page is sponsored by Rogue Gunners Productions. So, of course, I know what this machine is because I had one of these. This is a +4. It's everything you love about the Commodore 64, except for it doesn't have a SID chip, and it's got like a weird version of the TED chip that doesn't support a lot of the extended graphics modes. So much so that it has I'm sure Dave Murray did a video about this at some point, but the characters for like the special characters are not 100% the same as they are on other Commodore machines. So there's like some fundamental software compatibility problems. But this machine was kind of sort of more of like a business machine than a games machine, because it has 4 built-in apps. It's got a built-in spreadsheet, word processor, database, and maybe the last one is like a terminal or something. I don't remember. I as a kid, I used the word processor and stuff, but I didn't have a printer. So it was basically you type something and you fill up the RAM, and then that was it. So I didn't have a tape drive or anything like that. But this does have kind of a special designation that the like the floppy drive for this is like way faster than the one for the C64 and stuff, because I guess it uses a parallel interface instead of a serial interface. I could be wrong on that, but I didn't own the floppy drive way back in the day, but but it was okay. It was an okay machine. Here's that portable Commodore 64 that everybody loves so much. I watched a really good Techmoan video about kind of refurbishing one of these machines, and they look like a lot of fun, but man, there's a lot to go wrong, and they run so hot, and this keyboard cable is kind of the most commonly missing thing, because it's not really attached. You've got to like plug it in on the machine. These are kind of cute. They came out, they were a single floppy configuration, and there's a blank space above to store your floppy disks. Or I think you can also roll the cable up and jam it in there. And I think it's really not deep enough for that. And I think that's why a lot of these maybe have shorts and stuff these days. But the kind of the neat thing, this little door opens up, and there's adjustments for your monitor and stuff in there as well. It doesn't reflect it here on the drawing, but there's actually a cartridge slot here on the top. So you could still do cartridge games in addition to floppy games. And just this little tiny 4-inch, 4.5-inch, it's Wii. Color CRT, folks. This machine was pretty darn expensive back in the day, and they're even more expensive now. Finding ones that have like all the plastics in good shape, and especially there's like a kickstand that kind of holds this machine up. Finding one that's got like all the little plastic covers and stuff here that haven't been broken off and being banged into stuff is really rough. But yeah, the SX64 is like a cute machine. But dedications. This page is sponsored by the Crick family of North Yorkshire, or I think you can just say Shire, North Yorkshire. Anyway, that's what you get for being American, folks. And then the SX64. Mark Fixes Stuff says that Lemmings is his favorite game on any platform and thinks its creator is a game design god. But, check, it's Michael Daly. So Michael Daly probably would think that Lemmings is the best game ever on any platform. And I could not tell you in 100 million years what this machine is. It does look like some manner. It's got all the little Commodore extra character bits and stuff on the side. I sure hope that somebody in the chat knows what this is. It also appears to have like that 3.5-inch drive, or not 3.5-inch, but like the 3-inch or something like that. Those weird drives that were kind of popular for a little while. Kind of a competing standard to a lot of stuff, but I like the same drive as the Altair, or not Altair, gosh, the same as this guy. Use those kind of on that all-in-one word processor version of this. So, but this page is sponsored by Greg Beauregard. Everybody knows this is an Atari over here. Atari made some neat machines for a while. Not a whole lot. They didn't really pump out a whole lot, but gem on it. I mean, like a really nice GUI, mouse support, things like that. Kind of a cheaper alternative to Amiga maybe at the time, and had a lot of support in Europe. I don't really know anybody that I knew here in the U.S. that owned one of these. But the ST is this an ST or an XE? I guess XE is a little different. I think it looks a little different, but so I'm gonna say that this is probably like an ST. But yeah, neat machines, and all manner of great games, great graphics and stuff kind of at the time. So let me get this back in there. So I'm the proud sponsor of this page, says Stefan Lewandowski. All right. I'm so sorry for butchering names, but and these monitors I think are still kind of sought after because they're RGB, and it's got wide compatibility with some of these older micros. Everybody knows what this is. This is the Amiga 1000. This was kind of the very first Amiga, and for whatever reason, they've got that crazy floppy drive thing here in the back. But the 1000 is really great because there's like a RAM expansion right here on the front, so it was like very user serviceable even if you didn't want to get inside. Kind of the strange thing about the 1000 compared to like the Amiga 500 and later is that Kickstart is like you've got basically you've got the ROMs, but then you've got ROMs and stuff built in. So when you turn the machine on, it just does like basic system checks and stuff, and then it's ready to go. But then you actually had to boot Workbench off of a floppy. And there are some mods now that you can get for these machines that kind of address that, where you can and max out the RAM and things like that, because there are a lot of limitations on the 1000 compared to the 500. But I think some of these newer mods that are coming out do kind of address some of those things. I haven't really seen any like hard drive adapters or anything for this. I don't strictly follow the Amiga community, but I know that people have done a lot to try to get this more in parity with some of the later Amigas. But I think even under the best of circumstances, if you are looking for an Amiga and a 1000 comes up, I'm probably making people mad, but it seems like a very interesting machine to own as long as you are aware of the limitations. And you should always try to pick up a 500, or, I mean, because that's going to have some broad game compatibility. But, you know, if you're Mr. Moneybags, get like a 600 or 1200. I know people complain about those too, but at least those have IDE connectors, and they've got like PCMCIA, and they've got some other like storage options, and then they've all got the AGA graphics, so they got the best graphics for the games and things like that. So, but yeah, you can use WHD load on those, and man, you can just play pretty much everything that ever came out for the Amiga. But a neat machine. And then yeah, this kind of addresses the thing. There's two game ports on the side, but the first one was always used for the mouse. I've never seen anybody have anything but a mouse plugged into that. And the machine, it actually kind of shows it here, but it's up on a riser, so you could actually drop the keyboard stand, so you can push the keyboard directly under the machine, so it all kind of packs up real nice and tight. neat machine. Dedicated to Ulfer Gavel, Osnat Grauper, and the Amiga. So, cool machine. Of course, this is a cray, and then like data storage and stuff like that. I guess whatever the offline storage stuff and whatever. Crays are cool. It's really sad that like so many of these just ended up in junk piles with all the hand wiring and things like that to kind of get these up and running. I know that these are big collector's items these days, and there are places that have them. They turn them on for a couple of hours out of a year just so people can see their blinking lights and all that. Beautiful, beautiful machines from bygone era. Love you, Mochi, says Robbie Rob. Getting near the end, y'all. Here's a cool machine that I definitely like. The PC Engine, or in the US called the TurboGrafx 16. Just by itself, just a beautiful, beautiful machine. It's technically 8-bit, but I guess it has 16-bit graphics. It's and it used a very strange sort of game card that was it was prototyped on like some earlier systems, but the HU Hudson, because Hudson was directly involved. Actually, you crack one of these babies open, a lot of these chips in here are Hudson stamped. So, a wonderful chip. This came out in Europe. It came out in Japan. We got the TurboGrafx 16 in the US, and it didn't really get very broad support, but it's just a wonderful machine. There's tons of great games, and it's really the only way to play what is it? Is it Akumajo? No. What is it? It's basically gosh, man, it's so late here. I'm sorry, I'm fading. But yeah, there's a great Castlevania game for these. The CD-ROM add-on, very expensive. This little thing here in the background is called like the suitcase, where you basically locked, and there's a switch here on the front that kind of locks it all in place. So you could play your CD games. Now, you think you would plug all this in, you'd just be good to go. You're not, because there was a Hue card, there was a couple of different versions of the CD-ROM software, and not just that, but the Hue card also actually had RAM on it. So it was kind of like the custom chips in the NES, gave you more RAM, more capabilities, things like that. But there's like 2 or 3 versions of that CD Hue card, and the very last one is like the Super CD, and that's the one you need to play like all the later games that came out. And it's really funny. It's like that Castlevania game, if you use the wrong CD card, it boots up the game, but it looks like it's all like, you know, super huge, like round, like it's all kind of rudimentary kind of 3D objects and stuff, and then it just tells you like, oh no, sorry, you need to put in the proper card. It's very funny. Pixelrefresh.com, gaming and gadgets and technology, retro and modern. So thanks, guys. This is the 68 X or X68000, right? Yeah. This is another kind of one of those very popular machines in Japan. It runs from memory, it's got a Motorola 68000. And there's a lot of great games that kind of came out for this. Like I think this is where well, I can't remember. There's a couple of games that kind of like live on this platform. But I mean, this was a very expensive machine kind of at the time. Oh yeah, it's Joe. It's funny you say Akumajo Dentetsu. It's Rondo of Blood, I think is what Americans call it, because it's a fun game. It's a fun game. It's one of the best Castlevania games. But yeah, there's a lot of like software that came out for this machine. It's kind of like it's got SCSI, it's got like MIDI, it's got all these things in it. It's a home computer, very very powerful, really cool. 13 Cubed, YouTube.com, 13 Cubed. Check out the channel. Oh, there's another little joke. You see this little turtle mouse? It's in every picture, so it's like it's in every one of these, just because that's a funny thing on his channel. Yeah, of course, everybody loves the Mega Drive, or in the U.S., everybody calls it the Sega Genesis. So Mega Drive in the UK, super powerful or super popular, way more popular than Nintendo in Europe, is my understanding. So this is the first version of the Mega Drive, and the first version of the CD-ROM add-on, and everybody's favorite thing they love to hate, the 32X, which I don't know what this was called in Europe, but probably 32X. I don't know. But it was just trying to extend the life on the Sega Genesis, just kind of or the Mega Drive, as much as you could, waiting on development of the Saturn, that was going to be Sega's next level 32-bit system that was going to compete with Sony's PlayStation. Huge miscalculation. I guess the Saturn, which I don't think is featured in this book, focused everything, put all of its eggs in the 2D basket, and then here comes PlayStation, where it's basically like a 3D, like really caters to 3D, and they were like, oh crap, we gotta do this at the last minute. So yeah, it wasn't on the market very long. This page is sponsored by Aaron Oskerwick. Sure. This right here is the FM Towns. This is a cool kind of a European-y kind of console. I bet Japan as well, but most of the people I know that have them are either in Japan or Europe. But this is just like the Marty, or no, the Marty is a different one. I can't remember exactly which model this would be. But FM Towns is kind of a neat games machine. It's got a CD-ROM here on the front, all that. Just really neat. This is sort of the next step after, or is this? Am I saying this wrong? Am I misidentifying this? I don't think so. If I'm wrong, that's why YouTube's got comments, so people can yell at you angrily from the future with all the knowledge you wish you had when you made your video. Vilspas Beam Moulin. Sure. Easy for you to say. Of course, everybody knows about this. This is the Game Boy. I remember this was kind of a big deal when this came out, because it released maybe like a tiny bit before the Super Nintendo. And I was really excited. I really wanted to. I didn't know which way to go. I liked the portability of it. And I love Tetris. Everybody went nuts for Tetris back then. But this, I remember I went to a friend's birthday party, and he got one for his birthday party, and I sat there and played it. And I was like, yeah, I got to get one of these for my own. And eventually I did, and eventually got a Super Nintendo as well. So just great little machine. So many wonderful memories of car trips where you're trying to hold this thing up at night so you can catch the sort of the headlights of cars behind you so you can keep playing, or otherwise you had to stack like just the weird peripheral market that came out where you're like stacking all kinds of stuff on this to try to make it usable. This page is sponsored by the Bit Planes. Cool. This over here, I am not familiar with. I am not familiar with what this machine is. Let's see if there's anything on here that gives us a hint about what it might be. I recognize this logo, or the sort of the Greeked up version of this logo. This is power supply. Man, I don't know what this is, but obviously it's everything all built in one kind of machine. Chat, does anybody know what this is supposed to be? We'll circle back around to it. Maybe somebody in chat will know. I feel like I should know what this is. Been around long enough. Dedicated to Dad, Mustafa Desai. And then, you can check out his photography page there. From Sophia and Nahim. Oh, everybody knows this. Perfect for Marcintosh. This is a Macintosh Classic. And it seems to be they've got everything on here, correct? Yeah, it looks pretty good. I do like that the Apple logo is actually little smiley faces and stuff. So they've had to Greek this up just a tiny bit. But yeah, Macintosh Classic. Glad to support RMC. Wayne Retro Robbins. Over here, this is the European version of the Super Nintendo, which I think is just called Super Famicom in other markets. I mean, I think it looks exactly the same as it does in Japan. So this could be the Japanese, or this could be the European Famicom, Super Famicom rather. The Americans have got like a totally different case, and it's oddly shaped compared to this. And I guess the reason why is because the American Nintendo, with its odd sort of shape. Where are you, Nintendo? Yeah, it's flat on top, so people would put their drinks on top of it for whatever reason. So the number, I guess, the story goes that the number one return reason for Nintendos in the U.S. was that people had spilled a drink inside, and so they redesigned the Japanese Famicom, or Super Famicom rather, where it didn't have this flat space on top. So the American Nintendo, Super Nintendo, has like raised areas that are designed where if you were to put a drink on top of it, it would immediately fall off. So it's so they were. I guess that's my understanding, is that they were trying to avoid returns. So it was cheaper to make a new case for it, I guess. So there's a Super Scope. That was kind of a short-lived accessory. I think there's only like 3 Super Scope games. And one was the Pack-In title, and then the other 2 were largely forgettable. This page is sponsored by Grayson and Hudson Lane. Okay, everybody knows this guy, right? Everybody knows. Look, the Amiga Tank Mouse. Looking inside here, I see the 68,000 chip and all that type of stuff. Yeah, this is very obviously, it's got to be, and especially since it's got the numeric keypad, this has to be an Amiga 500. Amiga 600 kind of forgoes all that as a cost-saving measure. But yeah, these are great machines. I did not own an Amiga back in the day. I knew people that had Amigas that were kind of more well-to-do, obviously, than I was. But just a great little machine. So many great games. WHD Load really opens up the whole world on this thing. Because I'm not joking. There's like deluxe paint and things like that. I mean, there's great productivity tools for this system as well. But the Amiga 500 definitely just a great games machine. Really super expandable too. If you have, my understanding is if you have a trapdoor memory expansion on these things, a lot of those had a real-time clock. If you got your Amiga in storage, open it up and double check, look for a NiCad battery, because that's the number one thing. I mean, your memory expansion is probably dead, but there's a lot of great solutions now to kind of accelerate your Amiga, add more chip RAM, add more fast RAM, and kind of, because Amigas have weird memory mapping. Proudly sponsored by www.pureamiga.co.uk. Everybody knows about this guy over here, which looks exactly the same in all markets. The Nintendo 64. This was the last Nintendo console that I bought new, because I was not very impressed with it. I've got larger hands. Like, this is a iPhone 2020. Okay, I've got larger hands. And so it was very, very cramped holding the controller. It seems like it would have made more sense to put this over there. I understand that what Nintendo was kind of going for, but there's very few games that I remember really using the D-pad for. They were putting everything on this, and I guess younger, gamers, your hands are smaller. It's easier to hold that kind of thing, but not very comfortable for me. And the launch titles, I wasn't a huge fan of. I played Turok. I played a lot of those games. They're all right, but I just there was other stuff that I wanted to play that wasn't that. So I sold it and kind of moved on. But it's really neat though. There's a lot of there are some good games, Smash Bros, things like that came out that I know people just like kicked off a bunch of series. But for every Smash Bros on this console and every Wave Race, there's also a Castlevania 64. There's a VW Beetle Adventure Racer. I mean, there's a lot of like not great games that were not really optimized for this hardware that they just shipped anyway. So this is probably a memory expansion. I don't know. It's pretty big. Could be a rumble pack. Who knows? Oh yeah, this was like the first generation where people got all hopped up on rumble pack. Hey, we're almost to the end here, y'all. And then maybe we'll talk about my trip and things like that. But anyway, here's a, this looks like probably like a G4 of some extraction. I don't know if it looks like a G3, because man, look at the size of that heatsink there. They really had to take that battery out. A battery's going to leak. That's bad. But yeah, this is a pretty cool drawing of a Power Mac, or a G3, G4, something like that. This page is dedicated to the cave dwellers who made everything possible. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Neil. And then here, kind of at the back of the book, there's a lot of people that just contributed to the Kickstarter, and there are names in here that I recognize. Some cool people that definitely did their part to try to make this all a reality. And that's basically it. So a neat book. You will probably go through a million beige crayons trying to complete this. If you do want to go ahead and pick up a copy. So let's go ahead. I will meet you guys back in the lobby. Hey, it's the lobby. What do you know? Let me get some of this stuff arranged. Turn some of these lights off. All right. So, hey, howdy, everybody. Just wanted to say that I really enjoy doing these things. I'm glad everybody stopped by. Let me scroll up through chat and just make sure that I've greeted everybody that I see here. Mr. McIntosh is here. Hey, thanks for taking time out to swing by. Let me look. Let me go back. Oh, Bruce Banner. Wow, it took some time off for being the Hulk. Hey, Adam showed up. Adam, how's it going, sir? Let's see who else we got. Just on a quick scroll. That's who I'm seeing. I'm sure. Oh, Lemon Herb's here. Tom Barber showed up. Hey, Tom. Yeah, lots of great people in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Let me take a few minutes and let me talk about some fun things that I saw when I went to New York. Let me get iCloud up here, and let me get that cooking, and I will share some fun pictures with you guys from my trip to New York. I don't have everything out here from like Steve and from an ASMR video of Ron coloring for hours. Give me just a minute to get this all kind of queued up here. Don't know how good this is gonna turn out, but we will do our level best. Okay, so let me switch back over here to web view. All right, so rode out to New York area for a couple of days, and wanted to maybe share a couple of pictures with you guys. As you can tell, Steve was so excited to meet me. And Steve has a wonderful basement, and see, we all made nice. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, that's my, it's my 2E, enhanced 2E. I love that machine. My audio is very low, Joe says. Okay. Is that maybe a little bit better? Got the microphone closer to my head. Maybe I'll turn up my mic a tiny bit. Is that okay? All right. Hopefully it is. If it's not, we'll readjust. Okay. Let me make sure that I've got mic. Get all my mics set correct. Yeah, I think that should be correct. Okay. So anyway, there's me and Steve. You can see he was very excited to meet me. We worked it out where we wore each other's shirts, because you don't want to wear the shirt for the band you're gonna go see to the thing, but we did it anyway. Duo disc is missing because it was retrobrighted. I got to stick it all back together. While I was there, I hung out with Steve for a couple of days. We did some fun stuff. Some of it's already been posted to the channel. Steve's posted some things. We did a live stream while I was there. Got to check out his whole basement. He gave me some really cool things. He gave me a poster and some other neat stuff, and helped me out with one of my projects that's going to end up it's part of my Marchintosh stuff. So Steve did not have to pay for a t-shirt. I sent him a t-shirt pro bono, gratis, libre even, and then I bought one off of his store. So I guess we're even. But we did some shorts and we did some fun stuff, and then headed into the city for a couple of days. This is, of course, everybody's favorite shot of kind of haze and fog over New York by the Empire State Building. The pictures aren't all that exciting, but I'll show them to you anyway. This, I think, is Times Square. This is like you're facing this is the direction Jason was walking in Jason Takes Manhattan. And then and then the other direction is, and there's me, because the group I was with, they were walking away. So I was like, I better take a picture real fast. And this is the other direction. This is the direction Jason was walking from in Jason Takes Manhattan. But if you kind of look up here, you'll see the New Year's Eve or the New Year's ball thing, and which people seem to get really excited about getting the picture of. And if you want to see a picture of Lester Holt, that's like 9 stories tall, this is the place in America to see it. COVID card, of course. I will tell you that in New York, you have to basically take your COVID card with you everywhere. If you want to get inside a restaurant, you want to get inside of a store, you want to get on an Uber, you want to get anywhere, you got to have your COVID card. So regardless of how you feel about it, that's part of the key to New York. That's their rules. When you are in town, you got to play by the rules. So walked around, saw some more stuff. One thing I didn't take a lot of pictures of is trash. There was lots of trash. It showed up on trash day. This picture right here, I think this is the flagship store for Macy's back here. And then I think this would have been Gimbel's many, many years ago. They've redone the facade since Miracle on 34th Street. But we walked past this, so I took a picture. Oh yeah, here's a better picture. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is like the flagship Macy's, and then again, this used to be Gimbel's a million years ago. Stopped by, we saw like a very fancy Girl Scouts office, and they had like a retail store that just was huge, and it just had everything for I guess that your scout would possibly need. So I just thought that was really cool in a time where a lot of communities are losing their Girl Scout kind of their central offices and things like that. It was nice to see that they have a very nice one. This was the next day when the weather had kind of maybe cleaned up like a tiny bit. So a better view of the Empire State Building. And there was an observation deck at this restaurant. You could kind of go out and take some photos. We ate there a time or two. This is the New York Public Library. So we did a lot of walking that day. And there's the famous lions and stuff, and I took a photo out there. We did not go inside just because it was kind of a big day for walking around and looking at some things. So met up with fellow Ghostbuster fans and just kind of checked out and saw like some of the big stuff from there. This is 30 Rockefeller Center. This is where basically NBC kind of hangs out. That's St. Patrick's Cathedral, but we'll get back to that here in a minute. This is the famous Rockefeller Center ice rink. I guess. Well, hopefully Elton John won't give me a copyright strike, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it was really neat to watch people. They're out there skating around. If you notice these people in the blue, these are people that are down there to make sure that nobody falls and gets hurt. So you don't really see a lot of people doing crazy stuff. Although there were some people down there like doing turns and crazy stuff, and I guess they're there all the time. But it was neat. We sat around and watched that for a few minutes. This is kind of right down the street. If you ever watched the show 30 Rock, it's like a mock Saturday Night Live show that was on NBC for a while. You've probably seen Atlas on there. It's part of their like B-roll stuff. This is just walking down the street, just, more big buildings, interesting architecture. This was just sort of a very different than a lot of the other buildings that we'd seen. Isn't this the Biltmore? I don't know what this is, but it was definitely getting its facade fixed. This is right kind of at the edge of Central Park, maybe the south part of southish part of Central Park. There's also a very neat statue that was there, kind of right there at the edge of the park as well. It was weird because there were green spaces, but I guess they kind of like take things offline, put other things online because they didn't want people out there. There were a lot of signs where it's like this area is out of bounds, like today or something. It was weird. Oh yeah, it was the Plaza Hotel. Thank you. Walk through the free area of the Central Park Zoo. Central Park Zoo, this is kind of a famous sculpture kind of there with this clock and things. It was just kind of neat. This is Balto. It was funny because we walked up on the back side of this and I was like, oh yeah, it's Balto. And like 3 seconds later, like a 6-year-old ran past me and was like, Balto, Balto, Balto. And I was like, okay. So maybe they're here all the time. Maybe this is like something they like about coming to the park. This shot right here, I guess certain times of the year, this is like completely full of. If you ever watch a movie or something like that, this is a very quintessential New York shot to see this, especially when all the trees are leafed out. That there'll be a lot of vendors and stuff kind of lined up along here. This is kind of leading down to the fountain area. There wasn't very many people out there. Just there's a big open space in this little kind of amphitheater there. This is the central junction for that area. As you can see, there's a little tiny Mary Tyler Moore who will potentially make it after all. We will see. But down here, this is the fountain. Everybody's seen friends and stuff. Wasn't a lot of people because it was very overcast that day. And there were people doing walking tours, and they were like, you have no idea how lucky you guys are to be here today. They weren't talking to us. They were talking to people that paid. They were like, oh, yeah, you're so lucky to be here today. Because normally, like, this will be, like, it's full of water, and there's a million people crowded around it trying to take pictures and stuff. And this was pretty much like this. But I think this guy here... somebody came out and asked him to move. They wanted to take a picture of the fountain, and he was like, give me money. But he got up and moved anyway. I don't know if he's just messing with them or what. But there was also some dude that was there doing bubbles, where it was like he's off camera. Her friends were over here somewhere. They were taking a picture of her as he kind of did these huge bubble things behind her. Probably would have looked a lot better in the sunlight. And he eventually, I don't think I have a picture of it, but he did get one that was like a huge one that kind of lingered around for a while. More pictures of cityscape. There's a pedicab over here. It was funny because like a bunch of the pedicabs, I guess they all got together and they wanted to... I guess they wanted to charge like $5 a minute. $5 a minute for a pedicab. And I'm like, holy crap. Like that's expensive. You better want to get somewhere and you better want to get there fast. This is the statue of Daniel Webster. This is kind of up. This is maybe the busiest part of the park. This is the little John Lennon memorial. It says Imagine out there in the middle. And there was like a huge line of people that were all lined up that they wanted to get around the other side and get their picture taken with this thing. And people left flowers and stuff. And there was just a bunch of people hanging out in that area of the park. I just took some more cityscape kind of things, but back here, this is the Dakota. So this is the hotel where, or the building where John Lennon was living at the time and when he was killed. And there was more like flowers on the sidewalk and stuff over there too. But there was a guy that was hanging out over here playing music and things like that. And it was just kind of, honestly, this was the biggest congregation of people there at the park. But this is Central Park West, so we were heading back down south out of the park. Of course, this is the famous Tavern on the Green. Not really zoomed in all that well. I did walk up the backside, saw the backside of the building, and I'm like, I'm not walking all the way down there. Forget it. It's this is good enough. This is as close to Tavern on the Green as I need to get. This is, if you're familiar, it's like 50 Park Avenue West or something. This is Dana Barrett's building from Ghostbusters. And they were doing a bit of work on the outside of it that day. It's funny, they have it's an older building and has an older awning, but they have a cab light. They still have cab lights out there. It seems like Uber and like rideshare services and things like that have definitely taken over kind of there. I didn't see a lot of yellow cabs. All the yellow cabs I did see, they were all electric vehicles. It was weird. I didn't see one crappy, like, smoke belching cab while I was in St. Louis. It was all people that had like very nice electric vehicles there. This is the church. I think I had a better one. Yeah, here's the church that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man stepped on. Nobody steps on a church in my town. So I just thought it was neat, and I was really impressed. It was like there were a lot of churches there that just had, like, especially Catholic churches. It was just like, oh yeah, we got mass. It's like 6 times today. We do mass 6 times today because these people are busy. They want to get to church. There were a lot of these little bridges, footbridges and stuff, kind of out in the park. Makes me think about Futurama. So it makes me wonder which one in about 1,000 years will have Fry and Bender and the Professor buried underneath it from their time travel misadventure. This is Columbus Circle. It's just like a huge roundabout there at the edge of Central Park West and the south end of the park. This is another thing. Oh yeah, million pedicabs. Everybody wanted to take you somewhere in a pedicab. But this is the other big thing. Every street corner had a COVID testing location. And basically you just go up there and they would do swab tests and stuff and give you the results in 24 hours or something, bill it to your insurance, however it works. But there were like a million companies doing it, and all of them had, like, they either had like a big bus and you get on the bus and you go in there and it's a little private, or they'd have a little kind of a thing outside where they would do your swab and things like that. But they were all like, oh, we'll have the results in 24 hours and things like that. Because, you know, there's, I guess, a lot of people that need that stuff in a big city. It's got to be convenient, or otherwise people just don't do it. Another beautiful sculpture there at the edge of the park. I don't remember what this is commemorating, but I'm sure somebody in the comments will let us know. This is just more cityscape stuff, just kind of as we walked around. I was just impressed. I live in the Midwest, so we don't really have a lot of tall buildings here. You can go to St. Louis. There is a section of town that has some tallish buildings, but not like block after block after block of skyscrapers. I've been to Chicago. I've been to Minneapolis and things like that, but it just amazing, like all the architecture. We stopped by this restaurant. I sure can't remember what it is, but it's like a diner that looks like it's been there 1,000 years, probably because it's been there 1,000 years. That every booth had a little, like, tiny brass plaques up for different celebrities that had sat there. And the one we sat in, John Ritter and his wife had ate dinner there one time. I thought that was weird. But when I got up out of the bench, I made sure to, like, fall over the top of the bench, you know, John Ritter and all. But it was an amazing meal. I had a wonderful meal. This is an egg cream, so it's sort of like a carbonated chocolate milk. I never had one before, and there's an episode of Mystery Science Theater where the guy from the big town, the big city guy, shows up in this little, like, rinky-dink town. It's like fly speck, you know, like Arkansas or something. Like, I don't even remember where the town is, but it's like a little tiny town. The movie's called Squirm. And he orders an egg cream. And ever since I've like never had one. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll order an egg cream. And they're like, and they literally say, we've got the best egg cream in the city. And I'm like, that's a bold statement. So I tried one. It tastes like a carbonated chocolate milk. I'm not really sure like what to expect, but people love it. It's, I guess, kind of a New York thing. So I had one. Here is, once again, is the Empire State Building at night. And they lit it up different colors, different days. We hung out and stayed one day in the garment district, and this was a sculpture that they had there, like a needle on with a button. And I mean, there was a million stores that were selling like prom dresses, formal wear, fabrics. There were stores that sold buttons and just things you would sew onto your fabric. I mean, it's I can't imagine how much it costs to like pay rent in those places these days, but I guess they somehow make it. But I mean, I guess you could work on volume. But while we were there were a lot of people that showed up, and it was like a group of people going in for like a bridal party, things like that. So, you know, I guess it's kind of an event too, to go get your bridal wear and stuff like that in the garment district. And yes, I did stop by the Rossmann Repair Group. And as you can tell, Lewis was very, very impressed to meet me. Super nice guy. Exactly. He's everything you think he is. You could tell by the sign. No, it's we were really busy that day, and it was about a 10-block walk, 10 blocks that I walked down to the Rossmann Repair Group, and I walked past it twice because they don't have a proper sign out. There's nothing in the window. They just put that little foldy sign out, seems like, when they're actually like open for biz. And so I walked past it like twice and then figured out where it was. And it's they don't open until noon. So I was there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I knew that they weren't going to be there. So I just looked in the window, and they're got like a neat little repair shop and stuff. It seems very nicely kind of appointed and stuff. So it's different than their old location. I guess their old location was kind of like more low rent. So they moved to this new one. I think he's posted some videos about how he never should have moved. That it's costing him a lot more money to be in this other location. But yeah, the sign says, your MacBook didn't like that cup of coffee, did it? And then down below, it's like, you didn't mean to take your iPhone swimming or something like that. So, I mean, they do all different types of repairs. But anyway, I definitely wanted to go by and get my picture taken at the Rossmann Repair Group. I thought it was funny. While we're there, of course, not trying to bring things down, but we did stop by the 9/11 Memorial, which it's crazy. There's two lines there. There's a line you have to go through for your COVID stuff, and to go through basically kind of a pre-check before you go inside. And then once you get inside, it's kind of like going through TSA security. They have backscatter machines. They have X-ray machines, things like that to, kind of make sure that you're not trying to do any harm to anybody while you're there. What I was kind of like blown away by is how small like towers 1 and 2 really kind of are. As you can see a lot of people there, but it's not like a very long walk corner to corner on those buildings. In my brain they're massive, but in reality they weren't all that huge. But the outside of the memorial has the names of victims from the attack, and then from people that died later from things related to the attack. But it's a beautiful fountain, and it kind of goes down below, and then it goes down into the middle right there. This was like a very weird whale tail building. I don't even know what this was. I need to get on Google Maps and check it out, but it was just a neat piece of architecture that was very close to the 9/11 Memorial. When you go inside, they really don't let you take a lot of pictures. There are certain areas of the museum that they don't want you to take pictures of, just because, out of respect for the people's families and kind of the reverence of the place. But this is one of the areas where you can, and this is the original dedication pillar from the I think building 1. of the original World Trade Center. This is some of the footings and things like that that are in place, kind of still in place from the original building. It was all kind of cleaned up. And they had a lot of photos and things up. One of the things that again, this is the area where you can kind of take pictures. They had a lot of artifacts and things like that from a lot of the rescue dogs and the working police dogs and things like that that assisted with the recovery efforts that day. They had pictures up, and I think the very last one of the rescue dogs just passed away, like maybe a year or two ago. But yeah, it was very powerful to kind of see some of the things, the artifacts that day that were just kind of part of that. But after and I will tell you there's footage and stuff. It takes a long time to kind of walk through, and they do show you a lot of things that were from the attacks on New York, and they also they pay equal time to the attack on the Pentagon and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. And then also the 1993 bombing that took place in the parking garage below. There's actually a part where you kind of walk through and they let you know, like, this area here would have been exactly kind of like the epicenter of that explosion. But there is a wall, and they ask you not to take photos of some of those things, but there is a large wall that kind of represents like the remains of people that were unidentified after the attack. And my understanding is that they have a remembrance room for the family members and friends of those people. You can kind of go in and kind of pay your respects and things like that while you're there. The day that we were there was a ton of people from the New York Fire Service. There were people there from New Jersey Fire Service, Pennsylvania Fire Service, people from all over the region that came in kind of on September 11th to take a look at, or to assist with the recovery efforts and things. And my understanding is that a lot of these departments, they have their people go through or go to the memorial as part of their training, because, you know, people still ask questions about it. And it's probably important that you understand the gravity of all that, and maybe can answer questions for people, or if you can't answer questions, maybe you can have a little bit of that shared experience with them. But moving on past that, we stopped, looked at some more architecture and stuff, just beautiful buildings, and then we stopped by the Ghostbusters firehouse. So it was sort of like, it was like a day of like highs and lows. But the Hook and Ladder number 8, it's a smaller building than you kind of think. I just, in my brain, like from watching, it's 3 levels. It's not a very huge building. You can run to one end or the other pretty quick. But the they have some little murally kind of things out there. I'm sure that everybody has seen pictures of this before, but I was really excited to be there, because I've always kind of wanted to stop by this place ever since I was a little kid. This is just the cleanest alley in New York, I would say, probably because they park some vehicles, and I think they had like some funny signs and stuff up there, like, you know, like ambulance parking only and things like that. But was that? Oh yeah, I guess that was it. I guess I didn't take a picture of the other side. The other side of the building is pretty nondescript, but the people we were there with that day, we're like, yeah, you know, it's kind of chilly. If they got the front doors open, you can just kind of walk up there and talk to people, and they've got merch and stuff inside. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. And so I was like, all right, well, I was like, so do you just knock on the doors? They're like, oh, you don't knock on the doors. And I said, well, why not? I'm going to be here one time, maybe my whole life. I'm knocking on the doors. Well, if you see this lady right here, there's a sign right there that says entrance. And then underneath, it's kind of like washed off, but it says other side. And so I look down the left alley. There's nothing door on there, but on the other side, there is, the one that's facing out on the main street. And so I just walked up there, And I just knocked on the door and nothing happened. And so I waited about 30, 40 seconds. I knocked again, and a firefighter comes up the door and he goes, "What do you need?" And I said, "Oh, hey, I want to buy a patch." And he goes, "Is that it? Is that all you need?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. What else is there?" And he goes, "Well, we got all kinds of stuff in here." And I said, "Well, it's just for my son. So, and you look busy. So how about just a patch?" So they have like some cool, you know, New York City Fire Department patch, and it's kind of got a Ghostbusters theme to it and stuff. I'm sure you've seen them online. I think you can buy a lot of this merch online, but it was just kind of neat to buy it there in person. But it didn't really get to look inside or anything like that. So I figured these guys are busy and they've got people knocking on the door all the time. So it was very kind to sell me a patch and then go on about his day. So anyway, we went ahead and did a little more driving. Just looked at some beautiful architecture while we were out. And as you can see over here on the right, this is the Brooklyn Bridge. Over here on the left, this is the Manhattan Bridge. Better shot of the Manhattan Bridge. So if you've read The Boys, and I've not watched the series, the Brooklyn Bridge, I think, is the one that gets destroyed in sort of their universe's, you know, sort of like world-changing event kind of thing. Yeah, another shot of the Manhattan Bridge there. And you can see the Brooklyn Bridge here kind of in the background. This is good advice, y'all. So excellent, whatever you call it, graffiti downtown by the riverfront. Another shot of the Brooklyn Bridge. And just a water shot. But we took a ferry out to look at some things out there on the Hudson. This right here is Ellis Island, which I guess was largely sort of abandoned for a good long time. And then maybe in the mid-90s or something like that, they got excited about maybe restoring it and turning it into like a cultural heritage site, because so many millions and millions of Americans got their start right there. They came here from Europe and walked through Ellis Island, came out the other side, Americans, and started new lives. And so a very important place in our country's history. So it's probably worth preserving. And here is Liberty Island. I was inside and didn't really get a good photo. And then I was like, forget it. So it was like very, very cold. I went ahead and went outside and took a picture. Much smaller than you kind of think. I guess the important thing to know is that there's always been a dispute about who owns Liberty Island. So my understanding is everything above the water line belongs to New York. Everything below the water line belongs to New Jersey. You'll never guess where the gift shop is. Under the water. So New Jersey got the better part of that. Everybody comes to see that, but they stay to buy their shirts. So I think CGP Grey did a funny video about like who owns Ellis Island and stuff too. But I think this is the iTunes, don't do this to me. Oh Lord. All right. Well, anyway, I think that was basically the end of the photos. There's a picture of Joe that we missed out on, but I'll post that. All right, I've already posted that on social media and stuff. So, but basically on the way home, got to see Joe and spent a little bit of time at his place, and he took me on a tour of the basement and showed me all of his fun things. And I had a great time. I'm gonna see real fast if I can find that picture of me and Joe. I posted. Actually, no. More important than that, y'all. This amazing, not pound cake. It's called like, what's it called, Joe? It's hot milk cake. So went by there and was given some complimentary cake. That it was in a like a little whatever you call that, like a like wax paper little bag and like foil, and ate it on the way home. It was absolutely delicious. It was so great, and it was really, really kind of Joe to get that for me. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's Steve. Glad Steve was able to raise a little bit of cash for the stuff. Let's see. Ugh, man. Just scrolling through a bunch of nonsense now. Where's Joe? Damn it, Joe, where are you? I'll find you eventually, Joe. I was pretty sure I posted that all on social media. So, but anyway, that was basically my New York trip as well. And yeah, but no, I should have said something. When I was at Steve's, Steve ordered from this amazing vegan like burger place, and I was kind of like, huh, because you eat like Beyond, or I'm sorry, you have like the Increda burger or whatever at Burger King or something like that. It's kind of meh. And I've had the Beyond Meat stuff other places, but man, this restaurant that we ordered from was just amazing. Like it was like because I think like in the Burger Wars, everybody keeps going out to the sides. It's thin, but they're going out to the sides, and that you're not doing it right. You're supposed to go tall. You're supposed to have like big, huge, meaty sandwich. And this place was great, and like their vegan cheese even was amazing, and that's really hard to fake. But no, it was a wonderful meal, and got to meet Steve's missus, and she's a wonderful, very, very funny, very, very talented lady. So I had an amazing time. Everybody was so kind. There were people that stopped us on the street and were like, "Hey, are you from out of town?" And it's like people that are like, for out of town people in New York look like this, because they all have their phone and they're checking the Google Maps and watching the map like turn 180 degrees on them and things like that. And so we got stopped by a lady, and she was like, "Hey, where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, we're from St. Louis area." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, like my family is from," and named kind of an obscure Missouri town. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's great." And so it was just very, very weird and kind of a fun experience. I don't know. So it was really great. So I'd do it again. But got all of Steve's stuff delivered from Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, finally, and a couple of other things that I picked up for him kind of over the last year. Got to go by Joe's, and kind of showed up empty-handed there. Probably should have brought Joe something nice. I'll have to make up for that maybe in the future. But that's pretty much it. That was my amazing kind of New York experience, and the trip out there. So I had a good time, and thank you everybody for being so kind, and just being good people. I think this community, every community has its jerks. That's just how it goes. But I think that this community has some pretty nice people in it, and is very quick to airlock people that aren't. So I think that's really what's most important. So yeah, I drove past Adam's house because Adam's never home. How would I ever even know if you're home, man? You're gone like 250 days out of the year. So, but I will have to go back out that way and make more stops along the way, because I know that like RetroTech Chris and I know Adam's along the way and stuff, but it's 4 days travel because drove out there. So it's 4 days of like a 7-day trip. So 3 days is just really kind of travel. So anyway, had an amazing time. I look forward to meeting more and more of you guys in person kind of as time goes on. And I want to thank everybody for joining me here this evening. Again, if you want to pick up a copy of Neil's new coloring book, I'll have links in the description. You should definitely consider doing so. I am not someone that is good with doing this kind of stuff, so I'm thinking about reaching out to my friend Jamie Hitchcock and see if she would be so kind as to do the honors. So we'll have to check that out. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Hey, I just want to remind everybody that if you don't already follow me in the usual places, you probably should consider doing so. You can check me out over on Twitter at RonsCompVids. I'm also on the YouTubes. You found this. How do you not have you not found this? I'm also patreon.com, and oh, that's a typo. I just realized that for like the first time. Patreon-com? Crazy. Patreon.com, RonsCompVids. You can also check me out on IMDb, see the latest stuff that I'm working on, kind of in my acting career, VO work, things like that. Of course, hire me. Hire me for your next project. I would love to do VO work for your YouTube channel, something like that. So you can also hit me up over on Cameo. And, of course, you can check out my good friend Jamie's Threadless shop, which is at the URL right there. There's T-shirts and things like that. And, merch. It's just merch. That's how it goes. So, anyway, everybody, thank you. Ron getting a fax. No, that's the modem sound. Actually, a couple of people have asked me, like, why do I do that? And it's if you ever watched Space Ghost Coast to Coast back in the 90s and 2000s and stuff like that, that was the thing, is at the end of the show when they had all of their information about like how to contact them, that was that they played like the modem sound underneath it, and I always thought that was really funny, and so that's why I do it too. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope that everybody had a wonderful time, just as much as I did. Thank you for kind of suffering through bad pronunciations. Thank you for suffering through bad identifications of some of those retro machines. And if I got something wrong, please let me know in the comments. I would love to be able to have that information correct. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and remember, like I always say, Apple 3 for... Damn it, Steve. You got me saying it now. Apple 2 forever.